I'm an ag. My name is Dennis. So, if you're looking for a great speaker, you can leave now. I don't know how this came about. My recovery. I didn't come to Narcotics Anonymous planning to get clean. That's for sure. About right before I think maybe shortly after I seen Jesse and I came up here and I hit a candlelight meeting. I wrote a short story, and you get the gist of that. They say that as you move on in recovery, your message changes, and my message has changed too. But I want to kind of share the short story with you too to get me revved up, get over the old girly nervousness that I got going on, and all that old good stuff. So, if you don't mind, I'm going to share this with you real quick, and I might paraphrase. It seems longer than what it really is. At this stage, I had 16 days to go, facing a federal penitentiary time of 10 to life. So the story starts off right there. It says 16 days to go. If I was to start from the beginning, I was raised with my grandparents in West Point, Nebraska. They both did the best they could with what they themselves have been taught, and I love them dearly. The problem was that they hadn't been taught very good. My grandma had a habit of picking the favorites. The favorite could do nothing wrong, and the other one was just shit out of luck. I just happened not to be the favorite. She had a certain cunning toward mental and physical prowess. I wouldn't call it abuse compared to what would happen when she had my grandpa coming at me in a blind rage. It was a means and an end to him, a temporary reprieve from the resentment that he lived in. If I did it, it would come. If I didn't do it, it would come. I remember being up in my bedroom, and I'm a little bit taller now, but I had one of them full-length mirrors, and I would stand in front of that mirror, and I'd punch myself as hard as I could. Because that was normal for me. I didn't know the difference between right or wrong because I was punished either way, but I knew fear, and I knew pain. And so when I'd stand in front of my mirror, no matter what was going on in that day, I'd just give myself the slug. As hard as I could. Now you know how I got looking like this. So anyhow, somewhere down the line, I was kind of told that I didn't have to live like this. Aunt intervened, and she told me I didn't have to live like this. And a plan was set in place for me to run, to get away. So that's exactly what I did for the next 8 years. I ran from foster home to group home, from group homes to detention facilities. I learned two things thus far: fear and how to run from it. And I continued to pursue those things. During one of the times I was released to my mom, and I don't know how to explain it. Me being there was a constant reminder of my mother's guilt for having given me away. And I didn't blame her. Those feelings were too complex for me to understand at that time. I didn't blame her, but it didn't stop the shadow and the shroud of that from our relationship. So I had the fear of acceptance there. So what do I do if I have fear? I run. So once again, I hit the streets. And, it was at this time that I had my first run-in, which would later be recognized as my new way of coping. Mine came in the form of an aluminum gas can. I don't know if you guys remember those. I'm a little bit younger than you, but, we had the aluminum gas cans. I was going to say back in the day, but just a few days ago we had these, We had these aluminum gas cans, and then they had an air breather on top, and you pop that air breather to let the gas flow more freely. Well, mine was set up a little different. I had a rag wrapped around that thing, and I just ripped the air breather off of it. And I'd carry that can, I'd hold that air breather, and I'd be hitting that can, and the can would go, I could still hear it in my ear. And then when it wasn't indented anymore, I'd take my finger off the air breather. Right? I invented the bong. You know what I mean? And that thing would hit me, and the world turned into a better place. I started to like that. So I carried that gas can with me throughout the streets of Norfolk, Nebraska. All summer long, I would wake up with the gas can. This didn't go unnoticed. You know what I mean? Eventually, this message got back to my mom, and to the point where they bugged her enough where she thought she'd try to do something about it. I wasn't about listening to her. I'd take a couple hits off that can, and she was going wah, wah, wah. So she found that she reached out to the guy who had taught me about this. You know what I mean? my guy. You know what I mean? This is my hookup now, my plug. I'm going to listen to him, you know what I mean? Because he taught me this freaking new thing I got. So he came and he had a chat with me. He told me, he said, Dennis, this is pretty serious stuff. He's like, what did he tell me? He said, you know, you need to pay attention to this. You really need to quit because you could die from this. You could die for this. He said, plus you fuck around and get lead poisoning. I took what he said pretty seriously. Right away after he was done, I took action. I took 15 cents. I went up to the gas station and I put a nickel in that thing and rinsed it out and filled it up with 10 cents of unleaded. I'll be damned. I didn't care about dying, but I'll be damned if I was going to walk around with lead poisoning. Hey, you would have thought right then and there that I knew I was an addict. That was my first stage of addiction right there. I had no clue that, you know, here, look. I mean, come on, think about it. I had 15 cents. They just introduced unleaded at the time. I had a gas can. I didn't say it in the story, but later I switched back to regular because they had more kick. But, you know, I mean, I'm an addict. I want more. So I said, you know, I mean, at this time, this was my first run-in with addiction, and a run it has been. The next 30 years have been more of the same. You know, you substitute one fear from another, one run from another, one drug from another, one county jail from another, one state penitentiary to another, and one Fed bit already underway. Man, could I run? You know what I mean? I could run. 14 days to go. August 26, 2016, Sioux Falls, South Dakota, my house was raided. Before I knew it, my family was homeless. I was on the run again. And we all know how that ends up. I get arrested. I was denied my release. I was facing multiple charges. I went in front of the federal judge and they said nope. Gave me a detention hearing. I denied that. They denied that. So, you know, the one thing about us addicts is we have selective intelligence. You know, I mean, I put that shit to use. My wife sent me in a book called Busted by the Feds. And I read that book, and I could tell you every page of that son of a bitch right now. And I started filing my own paperwork. And started sending it to her too, and we were both filing. 3 appeals later, the judge said something wrong in the appeal. I used that against them. And they had to release me. I got in front of the federal judge, and they told me, you know, I mean, we don't want to let you out. You know, we don't think this will work for you. We're going to send you to this halfway house. And this is just because this is against our best judgment. We'll see you again. We'll see you again, and you can't leave this halfway house until trial. And you can no longer have any communication with this court. Go through your lawyer. I didn't care what the judge said. See, I was free. So I got put in this halfway house, and we can go through a whole bunch of things about that. But here's the deal. In the halfway house, they forced me to hit 2 meetings a week. I had to hit 2 meetings a week, and the meetings are only an hour long, but in the etiquette of the halfway house, it'd take you 2 hours to get through the meeting. So here comes my selective intelligence again. Well, I can make this a lot faster if I just hit a meeting outside of the hall, outside of here, you know. So I started attending meetings on the street. I walked into Narcotics Anonymous. I was like, you motherfuckers can't buy drugs, can you? Because I still can. I like to get high. My name is Dennis. I didn't believe in the program. I didn't get there to get clean. I got there to buy time so I could run. I'm veering from the story here, but here's the deal, is that as of the time that I wrote this, I had 1 year, 2 months, and 8 days clean. And I was reasonably happy most of the time at this time. But it didn't really start off like that, you see. I was facing a charge that I thought they just made up for me, you know, because they were following me. And I didn't know later that they were writing a book the whole time they did that, because I read it later. You know, now I know what them people in the trees, what they were doing. They were writing that book. So here's the deal, is that they arrested me for a charge called user and addict of a controlled substance in possession of a firearm. 33 months federal. I'm like, I can do that. Then they hit me with 3 more superseding indictments. And they hit me with the big one, the 500 gram and up conspiracy to distribute, 10 to life, mandatory detention. So now my lawyer calls me and says, Dennis, they can come get you anytime. Now, I remember this because I'm 6 months clean in the program, right? I got this shit figured out. And first thing I did is I'm at home, and we have an apartment, you know what I mean? And we have a hide-a-bed. So I pulled that hide-a-bed out, I took the mattress off that hide bed at 16 months clean. I laid down in that sumbitch and I said, "Hun, fold this sumbitch up. Let's see if this will work. Because if the feds come to the door, I want a place to hide, right?" I'm thinking, I'm being unique. I'm being unique here, you know. I'm not like you guys. I got this shit. I got these guys figured out. So she lifted up. I fell in there. Hey, got about this high, and my fat ass just fell right in. I said, "Okay, pull me out." She said, "Nope, I was stuck." She started yelling for the kids. "Hey, Cockerham, your dad's stuck in the hide bed," right? I was like, oh my God. And you know the bad part? The whole time I'm laying there thinking, this might work. Oh my goodness. Who would have thunk that? My thinking still ain't right today. Here's what happened to me. I'm one of them creative people, so I wasn't planning on staying in Narcotics Anonymous. I was planning on buying time. Buying time. I'm not going to go do 10 to life, you know what I mean? I'm going to run. They got me. They wouldn't have brought a superseding indictment if they weren't superseding me, you know what I'm saying? So I plan to run. I got fake passports, fake IDs, birth certificates, $7,000, some of it real, some of it fake, you know what I mean? Some of it probably not the best, but you know what I mean? So I was ready to go, and I had a plan put in place. And Sioux Falls decided to have an activity. The Narcotics Anonymous program decided to have an activity outside of the room. They're going to get together at this place we call Thunder Road, right? And it's a go-kart track. So I'm like, I'm going to that, you know what I mean? I'm going to go to that, see what's up. 26 addicts on a go-kart track. They did not see that shit coming. Right? We need reinforcements over here. We supposed to go around a track like this. We're going whatever direction we want to go. Full blast, wrecking into each other. Boom, boom, boom. Right? I come out of there limping and shit. And then we did laser tag, and I'm not so great there because 30 seconds of running around the court, and I'm just laying down saying, "You win." Right? Hey, but I couldn't remember the last time I had that much fun. I couldn't remember it. I couldn't remember last time that I had fun. I remember being 7 days underneath a car trying to fix the muffler and not having a damn tool. I stayed under there for 7 days, didn't have one tool. Thought I was going to change the muffler. What the fuck was I doing? Right? I couldn't remember this. So I'm into this, and my wife and I, we're both in recovery, you see, and she wants to go to a concert at the fairgrounds. So we go to the concert. And my wife, she doesn't have the same problems I got, you know what I mean? So we're at the concert, and I don't even remember who it was because I did not want to fucking be there. And she's like, "Shake your bomb, shake your bomb, dance, dance, woo, woo, woo." And I'm like, "You ready to go?" You know what I mean? Them guys are out there having a blast. I see everybody at the beer tent. Everybody go. I'm thinking, man, if I just had 2 of those motherfuckers, I'll teach you how to do the Dougie. You know what I mean? I don't even know what the Dougie is. Hey, but I'll teach it to you. I couldn't dance. I couldn't do it. I had fun, but I couldn't break out because my addiction owned those things for me. And here's my thing. I'm sitting in there. I'm like, recovery sounds good, and you guys are having a great time. But look, if I got to be in recovery for the rest of my life, I know they're saying just for today, but I'm thinking life sentence. If I'm gonna be in recovery, that's gonna be some boring shit. You know what I mean? Let's work on me. Oh, I'm having a bad day. Hey, my day sucks. Oh, fuck you. Right? I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to make it because I'm going to want to have fun. And the only way I learned to have fun was getting high. Going out there drinking, which eventually is going to change what I'm doing. I'm going to be up and I'm going to be like, well, I want to stay up. And then you don't have to worry about me drinking no more. Right? So here's the deal is that I go and I try working on this thing, you know what I mean? I just couldn't do it. We went to 3 concerts and I had to fake it. I tried to fake having fun with my wife. And I know she wasn't having fun, and I was miserable. And I couldn't do this, you know what I mean? And I was just like, man, this is rough for me. But I pursued with it. You know, I got a sponsor. I started working the steps, and I started liking recovery, and I was still running. But I was taking recovery with me. What another lie. Cunning and baffling. The more I grew, the more my disease talked to me. Told me, listen, yeah, we just take it with you when you go, you know what I mean? My first safe house, the guy was smoking dope, you know what I mean? I got the key to the house. That's where I'm going. No one knows. Yeah, right. So here's the deal. New Year's Eve, they had a dance at our NA hall. And I walk in there, and I have a great sponsor, you know what I mean? And this guy, I mean, he lives the program, and he's my spiritual advisor too down there, and I have one here with me today that started my whole journey. But here's the deal, is that he's on a spiritual journey, and he shares it with me, and I see it in how he behaves until this night. I walk in, and there's a dance going on. There's New Year's Eve dance, and he's over there in the corner doing whatever he called was a dance. I'm like, shit. If he can look that stupid, so can I. And I took off running. I slid across the floor of our hall. Right? I didn't make it very far. Right? I mainly roll. Hey, and I couldn't get my fat ass up off the ground, so I just started dancing from there. You know what I mean? I made that shit look good, but I realized that my addiction didn't own my dancing, my karaoke, my music, my nothing. It no longer owned it. I was having fun, and it brought me back. It brought me back to the program. That was my first spiritual awakening, was Thunder Road. My second one was the fact that there's nothing that the addiction owns. I just had to release my inhibitions on my own. But like, look, you look like a fool. Let me try that. Now, if you guys want lessons, I'll be out in the parking lot afterwards. All right? And I will do that shit. Don't get it fucked up. May not be what's on YouTube. But here's the deal. So that kept me coming back. But I'm still facing this life sentence. Everywhere I go, we would leave town, and I'd come up here to visit my friend, and I'd have to hit a program. You know, I had to hit a meeting. I had to do this. My wife, she was a little bit more calmer about it, not me. I'm calling around. You know, I used to live up here. I had a business up here. I had commercials on TV up here before I had to walk through town and go to the mission and talk about I need something to eat. You know what I mean? So here's the deal, is that I'm doing this. I'm coming up here, and I'm like, I'm calling, trying to find where the NA meeting is. You know, I got high up here, but I never got clean up here. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, I could drive you within 15 seconds of the place, you know what I mean, anywhere around town and get something. But I couldn't find an NA meeting, so I call. And so I start calling the centers and stuff. They're like, well, are you feel like you need a meeting? Hey, by the time I got this lady on the phone, do I sound like I need a meeting? Right? Hey, I'm at my friend's house, and I'm telling him that I need to hit a meeting, and he sits me down because he's one of these guys, you know what I mean, and he's here tonight, and God bless him because he's been a godsend in my life. But here's the thing, he sits me down and says, Dennis, you okay? Do you really feel like you need a meeting? You feel like you need to use? I'm like, no, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, I hit a meeting so that way I don't feel like I'm going to use tomorrow. You know, I hit a meeting so that way I don't feel like that. But I didn't call him while I was having that anxiety attack trying to find a meeting. So I found this place at this, in this house and I go to a meeting, and I felt better. And then I went down to Des Moines where my girls live, and on my way through there, I hit a meeting. Right? Wherever I go, I hit a meeting. I knew that I got high every single day. To this day, I hit a meeting every day. Because you know what? I got to have it. Here's what happened. I go to a little meeting in Laverne, Minnesota, and I'm having a problem. You know, I was at the Close Encounters, and there's a newcomer there, and somebody comes up and they say, I'm introducing them to everybody that goes by. Anybody I can know, these people are like 3 days clean, a couple with a baby, and they're at the Close Encounters. I'm like, man, I would not be here right now. This is amazing. You're a miracle. So everybody that I met that come by, I was introducing them. And somebody from my home group come over and seen, and I heard what I said, and then they just kept walking, and it was like, what? Yeah. I'm one of these guys. See, I won my MMA title belt in this town. You know what I mean? I know you can see it's right here. Hey, but I get that way. I get ready, you know what I mean? Whoa, was I waiting for him when we got back to Sioux Falls? I had a resentment. How you going to diss the newcomer? That's our message, you know what I mean? I'm trying to start to live this thing. So I go out of town and I'm talking about it at a meeting, you know, about a resentment I have. And this guy, he wears bib overalls. He's a farmer and real simpleton. He says, well, I don't know much, you know what I mean? I can't read very well. He says, Dennis, I was told when that happens that I should pray for them. And then I should pray for me. And I sat back in my seat. I said, I'm an addict named Dennis. He said, yeah. I said, tonight I'm praying for you, dude. And then I'm praying for me. He had just delivered the answer to me. So my next step was I did that. And then I prayed. 2 days later, the resentment was resolved. It was resolved. This guy said, I knew we had problems, Dennis. I knew that we had issues, but I felt I couldn't bring them to you because I thought they might turn a different way. Well, he was right. They probably would have. I wasn't ready. So now this prayer thing was working for me. So I started this thing, this conscious contact with my higher power, whom I choose to call God. I don't have the answers there, and I don't understand it, but I don't have to. If I could understand it, what type of frickin' God would he be, right? But I go out there on my patio, and I have this patio, and I'm facing 10 to life, and I'm like, I'm supposed to believe in God, right? I got a few choice words for this dude. So I walk out on my back patio, and I call him by his most well-known biblical name, motherfucker. And I said, hey, motherfucker, if you're there, I'll do this thing. Show me you. I will do this. I'll do this 10 to life. I'll surrender. I won't run. I won't do nothing. If you think that I need to lose my wife, my kids, my family, my everything, then show me you, and I'll bow down and I'll do that. Right? This was about February 10th. February 13th, I had to go in and plead guilty because they had me. You know what I mean? I couldn't get no Rule 35. I couldn't get my time cut in half. Not because I hadn't chosen that I was willing to do that, because by that time, I was okay with it, and I don't care what people think. I'm not held to the standards of the street no more because they were already held against me. So I said, I'll take it. They're like, nope. Last guy. Sorry. So I got this 10 to life, and there's no way. There's no plea bargain in the feds. You know what I'm saying? I'm facing 10 to life, so I have to go turn myself in on February 13th. When I plead guilty, it's mandatory detention. I'd walked out, I believe it was the 10th or the 12th, I walked out and talked to a motherfucker, you know what I mean? Well, guess what? When I walked in there on February 13th to turn myself in and to plead guilty to that 500 gram up conspiracy, they took it off the table. It was gone. They said, we come to you with a plea bargain, we're taking that away. You plead guilty to these gun charges. You don't have this no more. Man, you ain't never seen somebody who wanted to pretend to be tough so bad cry like a little girl. Right? I cried. I went Facebook Live. Hey, and cried. I didn't care who seen me. I cried and I said, God is real. God is real, and he just talked to me. I went out there and called him out, and I said, hey, motherfucker. He says, no, you're the motherfucker. I've been here the whole time, right? You're the motherfucker. I've been here the whole damn time. So I started putting this shit to the test. I started praying. I started seeking out my higher power. Right? I'm still going to meetings. I chair meetings. I do my thing. I go out and I've been speaking and stuff because it fuels my recovery. I had to do that shit because I lived just for today because I was facing the life sentence. But now it's gone. My recovery went from my addiction don't own anything to there's a God. And when you know what I mean, that's big. It's hard to go from step one to there's a God. You know what I mean? Half the room want to leave. Right? No one wants to talk about that. No one wants to talk about the spiritual experiences of God working in their life. But I'm here to talk about that today. I was facing a life sentence, and there's a plea bargain from the feds. All right? Hey, you can suck my dick because I've been to the feds already. Right? This doesn't happen. I got friends I call to. They're like, oh, Dennis, I never knew you was like that. I'm like, fuck you. Right? Read the paperwork. Well, you can't get it no more. I don't give a fuck. I recorded it right while I was in there and shit. But it doesn't matter to me no more what that is. They took it away. I know God's real. So I start praying to God in the morning and at night. And I start talking to him. And I you know what I mean? I'm not one of them guys who got this fancy scripture to call upon. You know, this is just new to me. And I'm like, look, bud. All right, it went from motherfucker to bud real quick, you know what I mean? I'm like, look, bud, you are awesome, you know what I mean? And I started putting that, and I started praying for people, and I started praying for things, and I started putting forth, said, here, look, take me away and just run through me, you know what I mean? Use me. I started getting these experiences. I started getting answers to my prayers. I didn't have to wait like a month. If I slowed down and paid attention, I got answers to prayers the next day, during the prayer. Everything, man, it was creeping me the fuck out. Right? I went into meeting hall and said, I'm about to damn stop praying. Right? Because I think it's like somebody slipping me a Mickey. You know what I mean? I'm praying for something and I get the answer. And it's a blatant answer to what I was dealing with. I'm like, man, God is big. God is big. And people are like, they're shutting away, you know what I mean? They're saying, don't, Dennis, you know, when you talk about God, well, look, I'm going to talk about God. Because here's the deal. When I was out on the street and I go to the dope man, and I take that hit, and I get that, right? I get that when I pray. Right? All of a sudden, I'm praying. I'm like, I'm not getting this. I'm not getting this. And all of a sudden, it opens up, and he picks up the phone, and he says, I'll accept your collect call. You know what I mean? Press 7, right? And he answers, right? Hey, he answers, and I'm like, well, I got you on the line. I don't want to hang up. And I walk away from that end. I'm high, dude. I'm as high. I'm going to get riled up here because look, I had a life sentence, guys. I wasn't even supposed to be here today. You know what I'm saying? This is working wonders in my life, and I didn't even believe in this shit. Right? I thought you guys just couldn't buy dope no more. You know what I mean? I can still buy dope. You guys, that's your fault, not mine. It's not like that, and I know that today. I know that because I went through the different stages of it. You know what I mean? I'm the type of guy who you got to prove it to me. You know what I mean? Let's put it to the test. So I started to pursue the spiritual principles that's in our literature today, the same way I pursued the dope. I started talking about the spiritual principles and about my higher power the same way I talked about the dope. You see? Because when I went to the dope man and he had that good shit, I told everybody. I'm like, that motherfucker got the good shit, right? Hey, you want to hit off my pipe? When you get in your bag? Right? I ain't sharing with you unless you're going to share with me, unless I know you got a bag coming. I wasn't going to share my dope with you. Fuck, I'll fake that shit. I'm out. Right? You out? What you got? Right? There was no reason. I was always conning, manipulating, do whatever, right? Puff, puff, pass. You know what I mean? It's my turn. Today, that's how I talk about it, because I got the good shit. I got a new plug. I got a new plug, man, and he's talking to me, and he's working in my life. Let me tell you a story. Like I ain't been telling one already, right? Work with me on this. So, my juvenile life, I kind of mentioned to him, and I skimmed over a lot of the criminal activity. I stole cars to run away. I got arrested. They released me back to my grandparents. Then I stole another car, and I got in a wreck. Then they locked me up in YDCK in Kearney, Nebraska, 6 hours away from my family, the whole 9 yards, right? Well, I've got children, too, and I've got a son. And see, and God puts me, he gives me blessings, and I don't always see them. You know what I mean? They're wrapped in a different package. They're not always the way I present that a gift should be. You know, it ain't always the frosting on that cake. It comes in a fucking paper sack like you want to throw it away. You open it up, and there's a gift inside. My son ran away from home. He stole a car. I'm mad. Life was going good. I didn't understand why he did that. You know what I'm saying? His recovery isn't on the same time length as mine. You know, I put him through hell. Their house got raided, gunpoints. You know what I mean? They lost it. They were homeless. Well, I'm out on the run. My family don't know where they're spending the night. I did that to them. You know what I mean? My addiction did that to them. They didn't have a place to live until after I got out of jail to the halfway house, when I could go to somebody and say, throw me some money. And I put him in a one-room hotel. So my son runs away, and he steals a car, and he gets in a wreck, T-bones somebody, outrunning the police. They call us down, and the cops call us that they're at the hospital. I'm like, fuck that, I ain't going to get him. You know what I mean? You're responsible for your own actions, right? I'm the type of guy, like, I see what he's doing, I just want to pick him up and put him over here. You know what I mean? But until somebody's ready to change, you can't change him. But I didn't understand that. If we didn't go pick up our son, we were going to get charged. So I went and I picked him up, and I brought him home. And that's how South Dakota works. February 13th, the day that I go down and they take away, the day of my miracle, as I'm driving home, I see my son go by us. Oh. He took off again. I'm like, what the hell? 3 days later, Minnesota State Police call us and let us know that my son's been in an accident. Going the wrong way down the interstate, outrunning the police. He had 6 other people in the truck. He took an off-ramp. He ran into a mom and a baby in a car seat. T-boned them. One of the kids that ran away with him is now paralyzed from the waist down. So they put my son in juvenile detention in Minnesota, and he ain't getting out. It's over 4 hours away from my house. When I was young, people had to drive to come see me. When I was in prison, people had to drive to come see me. You know, they go out of their way for me. I never realized that before. I had to drive to Minnesota to go see my son, and I didn't want to go. But I knew that I had to. God was trying to show me something. He wanted me to feel what it was like to be on the other side of it. He wanted me to be able to know how this feels. I went up there, I think, 3 times. One time my friend come up, picked us up. He drove all the way from Cedar Rapids to Sioux Falls. Right? That's 6 hours. Picked us up and then drove us to Minnesota to see my son. Drove us back home and then drove back up here to Cedar Rapids. Now, if God ain't working through that motherfucker, I don't know who is. You know what I'm saying? Then we turned around and made 2 other trips back up there. We were at every court date. He didn't have to be alone. And I was there and I was told him, look, I can't tell you what to do, but all I can do is love you. I can love you. Well, he was up there for 80-some days, and then they transfer him back, interstate compact, to South Dakota, and he gets locked up in the JDC there for the crimes there. We go to court the next day, I got this plan. I got this whole spill. I'm going to tell the judge how it's my fault. I go to say, Judge, she told me to shut up. She didn't want to hear from me. She already had my record right in front of her, right? Why the fuck I want to hear from this guy? We were in court all day long, and they released my son to come home on electronic monitoring system. So if we go back a little bit, you see, I was first charged with a smaller charge. Then the ATF agent, the main person on my case, filed more charges against me to the United States District Attorney to get the superseding indictment. Then he calls me down, says he wants to talk to me. My lawyer says, this is your best shot, Dennis. I go down there, and he wants to give me a bank robbery, too. Right? And he's like, well, we know it was you. Tell us who the other person is. We're giving you, this is your way out. I was like, he says, there's one more guy out there. I said, no, there's 2, motherfuckers. I was in Iowa. You know what I mean? And they yelled at me. He did not like me. There's a big thing here. Somewhere along this way, I start praying for him. I start praying for the judge. I start praying for everybody. And here's what happens. The agent shows up when I plead guilty to the plea bargain. The agent shows up and he tells me, he said, Dennis, if you need anybody to talk to your son to help him or mentor him, I would do that. You know what I'm thinking in my head? Shut the fuck up. The fuck would I do that for, right? Well, guess what? 2 days ago, or 2 days ago in a week, I called that dude. I reached out to him and I said, hey, I'd love for you to mentor my son. See, because there's no way we think alike. No way. I've got 7 numbers underneath my belt. And I'm facing, and I have sentencing coming up May 21st right now. Up to 80 months, federal time, 85%. That's my plea bargain. I'm happy with that. I'm okay with that. I've done this whole thing clean. I haven't picked up one time. You know what I mean? I hear people they come into our hall. Let me tell you, they come into our hall and be like, please pray for me. I pissed dirty and I don't want to have to go to jail. My PO. I'm like, shut the fuck up. Don't fucking piss dirty. Right? Hey, this is a program of abstinence. My clean time don't equal recovery. Suck my dick. Let me tell you something. You got to be clean to get recovery. Right? If you ain't been clean, you ain't going to recover. That's the first step. So here we are, this ATF agent, I reach out and he starts making these calls for my son. And this is a hard pill to swallow. And then he tells me, he said, Dennis, have we meet underneath different circumstances? We could have been friends. He's telling me this and I'm like, man, me and you, we ain't never going to be friends. Right? We on 2 different, I'm the Duke boys and you're like, just, you know me, you the boss hog and shit. Right? But here's the thing. I now respect that man. So now I have my sister. I have a sister who is a normie. You know what I mean? We know what that means. She's a normie. Come to find out that at the hair salon she works, so does the wife of the ATF agent. She's been talking to the wife of the ATF agent who've been going home, and we know how pillow talk works. God has been working this. He had this plan in effect all the time. So now my son gets released, and who released him was this good attorney. We had this good attorney, right? I don't know about you guys. I spent all my money on dope. I can't pay for his public pretender, right? So we're happy we got this guy. He takes himself off the case. Conflict of interest. Man, this sucks, right? And I've been praying for my son. Guidance. I take everything back to that prayer because I'm here to tell you today. I'm here today because of that prayer. I'm here today because I don't understand my God, but I pursue him like I pursued the dope man. You know what I mean? I pursue him like I pursue that high. I chase God. I chase that feeling because I am high when I walk away from it. So I get excited about it. So, you know what I mean? I'm like, we have a group now. You know what I mean? They'll just text God bomb. Something happens. You know what I mean? And it hits them like that. They'll text God bomb, and I'll be like, puff puff pass, motherfucker. You know what I mean? You've been holding on to that pipe. My turn, right? Don't hoard the dope, but I get in the bag later. Well. We have to go see my son's lawyer the other day. I have to get permission from him for this ATF agent to be his mentor because he's a legal person. He represents the government. They got to make sure they're okay with it. So we go meet this lawyer who he's mad about that he's got. I don't like it. I like the other guy. We get up in the office and I'm like, listen, I have one question before you talk to my son. And I tell him the ATF agent and what he wants to do and that he was the arresting officer on my case. You see what I'm seeing happen? Here comes my son up to court, and he's got the ATF agent that arrested his dad as his mentor, and I'm thinking, I'm doing big things. Me. Man, it ain't me, right? It ain't me, it's God, right? And here's how I know it. Right when I'm thinking I'm doing big things and I'm getting this signed up for him, he says, oh, I know Kevin. Hey, his old lady works at the hair salon my wife owns. How does that work? So the lawyer that he now has, his wife owns the hair salon my sister works at and the ATF agent's wife work at. We walk out of there and my 15-year-old son had just changed his mind. I said, man, that was a God bomb. He says, there's no denying that, Dad. That's God. I heard that come from my 15-year-old son's mouth for the first time. My wife said, man, there's no doubt about it. See, God is real. God is real in our lives. And I've tested the waters, and I know. And I share this. And now, you know what I mean, I go to God about all types of shit, you know what I mean, because I believe in God. I don't know about the story. You know what I mean? I don't know about the story. You know what I mean? Everybody know what I'm talking about, that other book. I don't know about that. So I go to God and I'm praying to God. I said, look, I get you, man, because you working. I mean, use my man. Use my plug. You're my hookup. I got a new coping skill, right? And he's opening up doors. Every time I pray, he's doing something for me. I mean, I'm like, what do I do? You know, and he answers me. So I go to him and say, I don't know about the book, but I got you, dude. You know what I mean? You lead me the way you want to. So I'm following God, right? And then the next morning I'm up there praying. I'm like, man, I'm looking out my windows as I pray, and I pray out loud, right? And I'm like, man, God is in everything, dude. God is in everything. He's everywhere. And God says, if I'm in everything, how am I not in that fucking book? Right? And he told me, how am I not in that fucking book then if I'm in everything? And so that made me pursue another thing. It got me going. You know, it jumps around. I don't have to understand and I don't have to come to a conclusion, but I have to follow his will, not mine. The other day, I'm far from perfect, right? And I know you can't become a famous in an anonymous program, so I'm not up here trying to do that, right? I taught a self-defense class at a church, free of charge. You know, they had this thing about me when they spoke about me in court, saying that people were scared of me out there. You know what I mean? Because I watched too much Sons of fucking Anarchy, and I thought I was Jax Teller. You know what I mean? Of course, I look a little bit better, but you know what I mean? The only motherfuckers who bought the story were the feds. You know what I mean? So here's the deal: is that I'm doing a self-defense class, and you know what I mean, I'm good for the first 30 seconds. You know what I mean? But I do this class, and as I'm leaving, I'm driving this Jeep Wrangler, and I'm bypassing. I'm going down the road, and this truck passes me, and we both see each other. And it's the guy that's on my Discovery. You know, I like to say God talked to me right away, but what talked to me was something else. And I turned that fucking Jeep around, and I chased that dude down. You know, I started to follow him. He turned down a dead-end alley, and I teed it off. He's backing into this driveway, and he can't get out of the alley, you know, and I teed off. He looked at me, he nodded, and I nodded, and I was like, yep, we both agreed today's your day. And I'm going to go around to the other side. I'm going to cut through. I'm going to cut through the houses. See, I'm not just going to be up here talking about how good I am. I got some shit going on. I'm going to cut through the houses, and it's his day. It's one of our days. We're going to find out. I couldn't move the Jeep. I got a struggle going on, and I recognize the struggle. I got a struggle going on. And I reached down for my phone, and I don't want to pick it up, and the Jeep won't move. And I look back at him, I'm like, fuck, if the Jeep ain't going to move, I'm just going to get out and let him watch me walk down the alley. Let him see this coming. I'm mad. I'm trying to hold myself to the standards of the street again. And my addiction, you know, the stronger that I get, the stronger it gets. You know, they say your addiction's out in the parking lot doing push-ups. Mine's right next to me. It's just waiting. You know what I mean? And I grab the phone, and I'm not in a rage. I'm in a calm, confident, powerful position, and I feel justified. That's when you know your addiction's at its height. I hit that button to my sponsor, and he picked up on the second ring, and the Jeep started to roll. And I talked to him. He talked me through that. That night I prayed for that man, and I prayed for me. I'm going to show you how else my addiction talks to me. So I drove up here. This is really great, right? My car's in the shop. So my buddy gave me his 2006 RT Charger, right? To drive up here, right? And I'm like, that's fucking cool, right? Hey, I got a couple of amends to make up here. So I'm going to drive up in the Charger. You know what I mean? And go make my, they're going to see how good I'm doing. I'm not going to tell them it's mine. I'm not going to lie. But I'm going to let them assume. Right? And then I'm going to pull up to the meeting hall and you motherfuckers say, that's the speaker. You know what I mean? Like the Matrix. Right? Here's the deal. So this morning, I'm staying at my spiritual mentor's house. And so this morning we're out, bright and early, 6:30, we're out there in the garden. He has a beautiful garden. And we're talking, and then next thing you know, we're out there praying. And I pray about the amends, guide me and guide me in this. Then he takes me to the pizza ranch, and he's buying, so I'm eating, you know what I'm saying? And he's really generous on that. He blesses me a lot. And he's like, Dennis, I want to go to that meeting with you. I said, that's cool, you know what I mean? You want to drive the Chargers? No, we'll just take the Toyota, It's a little Toyota. He's had it for years. Takes good care of it, but it's not the Charger, you know what I'm saying? And I said, well, what about those amends? You want me just to run over? No, I'll go with you. I'll be your spiritual, spiritual guidance while you're there, right? He said a better word because he's better at that shit than I am, you know what I mean? He said a better word. And I said, you don't know how God just worked through you. Because I wanted to come here and deliver a clear message. But I wanted to show up in my friend's Charger and let you see me in that motherfucker. I wanted you to imagine that that's me. I don't own that mother. I got a 2005 Nissan Century. You know what I mean? I ain't got no RT Charger. I'm driving that bitch. I make it look good, right? That's what I tell myself. But see, when you're going home, you're driving down 380, and you can either take the off ramp, and there's a one way that just keeps on moving, and then you got the other way with the stoplight. See, that's my addiction. You know what I mean? Because I come and I'm supposed to go that way, but I take that other road. And I'm cruising to take the turn, and I'm just waiting. I won't get up there. I'm not going to turn. I'm waiting for that motherfucker right there to be listening to that station, to miss the green, and I'm going to cut them fuckers off. And I'm going to turn the way I want to go. That's what my addiction does to me. That's what my addiction does to me. It cuts in front of me when I'm least expecting it. You know what I mean? It pulls up, and it cuts me off. And it tells me, here, look, dude, I'm in front. And then now I get a moment. God comes in and talks to me. Now I have somebody who intercedes on my behalf. He comes and says, hold up, I'm going to tell you something. We'll take the Toyota. I want to come to the meeting with you. I'll go with you for those amends. And I was like, man, you don't know how God just used you. You know what I mean? It's just another blessing in my life. So I don't know how long this meeting is supposed to go, but here's my deal. May 21st, I go to my sentencing facing 80 months, federal penitentiary. I'm okay with that. See, because I know who I am today. Now, I'm not the perfect addict. I'm not the perfect recovering addict. All the fancy terms that are out there, I'm not that. When I first came to the meeting hall, people said, keep coming back. They meant shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? They were tired of hearing me. You know what I mean? And I got it. Eventually, I shut the fuck up. So here's the deal. I did this clean. I went through the life sentence thinking I was going to get a life sentence. I went through that clean, right? I'm here today speaking because, and I'm not even doing this for you. I'm doing it for me and my recovery. Because as I speak, I learn shit about me. This is what my story was, and this is what my story is. You know what I mean? That now I have got to the stage. I worked the steps, right? 18 months into it, I finally got, I hate the steps. I don't care what anybody else says here. Everybody can praise them. Go praise, right? Every step I had to come in, I hated it till I was done because it was changing me, and I didn't like change. Change hurt. Change was wrapped in a paper bag that I didn't like. But once I got through that, there's joy at the end of it. There's joy at the end of it. And here's my deal. If I can do that, facing a life sentence, and stay clean, if I can come here today when in 2 weeks, I'm probably going to prison. I don't pretend to understand that anymore. And my guy tells me he's praying for no jail time, and he has that faith, and I listen to him, and I pray, because I don't think I'm going to get the 80 months today. Matter of fact, the ATF agent told me in his own way, look, Dennis, you have a judge who knows that you don't have criminal intent. You have a judge that knows you have a drug problem. He said, if they ask me, I'll tell them. I went from hating that dude being the one who gave me the superseding charges, to being the dude who I believe took them away. His wife. my son's lawyer's wife, and my sister all work in the same place. And my sister says the other day, she said, Dennis, God has put amazing people in your life. I said, you better recognize you're one of them. Without that connection, without you being there, this would never happen. So today, God works in my life, and I am looking forward to the journey wherever it takes. I'm ready for the H&I trip if that's what it is. I'm ready. Now, I've surrendered it. And you know what? That empowers me so much. It's crazy. And this isn't me. I don't have any great scheme to tell you besides this. He's real. Right? My higher power is real and works in my life. He talks to me. People say, I don't have an invisible friend. Me neither. Me neither. I see him. I see him through you. Right? I feel him. Right? You ever put your hand over a flame? You don't see the heat. It burns you, boy. It burns you. You feel it. I feel my higher power today. And he works in my life. And I'm going to continue pursuing the promises that are in this text. You know what I mean? I read this text. You know what I mean? Now they got me reading other books, right? Hey, look, I got a G-E-E-E-E. I never made it to the last letter. You know what I mean? Hey, I'm from a trailer park in the country. You know what I mean? People are like, where are you from? You know, you got that accent. I said, don't make fun of my lisp. You know what I mean? Right, Ed? I had to go to speech class. Now you're making fun of me, right? I got a resentment. I got to redo my steps. How it did it, I don't know. I changed my friends, my people, my places, my playthings. I did all that. I followed the suggestions of my sponsor. I didn't have any friends that were clean. So when I got my sponsor, I told him, you know what you're signing up for? He says, yeah. I said, no, I'm going to make it clear. If I call you, you answer that phone. If you don't, I'm coming to your house. Hey, if you don't open the door, I'm breaking a fucking window. That's the type of guy you're signing up for. And he knows that. Because that's still the type of guy I am, right? I broke into places. I stole shit, right? I'll be damned if I ain't going to steal this recovery. You know what I mean? I put forth effort in my fucking disease. I'm going to put forth effort in my recovery. Addiction doesn't own any of my good times today. I can have a blast. I can crack jokes. I can dance. Something I call dancing. Hey, I sing. Something I call singing. Right? I'll rap with my son, right? I think I got more lyrics than he does. You know what I'm saying? He disagrees, but let's spit it. Right? I come out the other day and I told him, I said, look, let me tell you about the new thing coming around. Right? It's something like it's the best dope in town. I know you think it's funny and you think it sounds dumb, but wait till you feel my higher power. You're going to try to get you some. Right? That's what I'm talking about. That's how I feel about it today. It gets me excited. It gets me high. I chase that. I pursue it. I believe it. I believe the promises that are in this book. The steps got me out of the way so I could have direct communication with my higher power. And I have that today. And it's because of people like you. It's because of this program. It's because of what we do. It's because of Jesse meeting up with me, giving me his numbers. It's because of that candlelight meeting, which I went home and started one. You know what I mean? Went home and started a candlelight meeting. Sioux Falls, South Dakota now has Out of the Darkness candlelight meeting. Friday nights at 11 o'clock. That's what that meeting did to me. That's what Narcotics Anonymous does to me. I'm not just talking about it. I'm doing it. I'm doing it when it don't feel good. I'm doing it when it feels wrong. I wasn't taking my recovery home. I'm running off at the mouth, so you guys just have to shut me the fuck up, right? Here's the deal. Somebody from Narcotics Anonymous calls me. This motherfucker was on the road. Hey, that 2005 Nissan was hauling its ass over to go pick up whoever it was, get them to a meeting, take them to the food pantry, talk to them. I was doing it. If they called from the meeting hall, if they called from their house, if they were in recovery, I was there. But yet my wife works a job. See, I don't have to work. My 87-year-old grandfather, the one who beat me, now lives with me. I take care of him. I take care of him. I love him. God gave me the power to return that. I know that man better now than I ever knew him before in my life. And I love him, and I forgave him. I now take care of that man. He has severe COPD and dementia. He lives in my house. So I take care of him. And if an addict calls, he knows I'm leaving. I'm going to help him. But my wife works a full-time job, comes home, does the dishes, does the laundry, sweeps the floors, does all the cleaning. Because I'm dealing with people from Narcotics Anonymous. I forgot to take my recovery home. I don't do dishes, motherfuckers. I don't do dishes. All right? You know why? Because my sister and I were supposed to alternate doing dishes. But she was the favorite. I wasn't. I had to do dishes every day or I got my ass punched right in the fucking mouth. So I don't do dishes. I'm happy to tell you that today I do the dishes. I do the laundry. I sweep and I mop the floor. When my wife comes home from work, she don't have shit to do but lift up her feet. I don't massage them motherfuckers yet. Motherfucker ain't that good, right? It's a process. You know what I mean? It's a process. But guess what? It changed our relationship when I took action. And that didn't feel good to do the dishes. Look, I chew. I can't. Man, I'm not doing it. Get out the room. Go to your bedrooms. I'm going to do the dishes. I chew. So every time I take, when I'm done eating, I put in the dip and chew. You know how I do this? I'm not chewing until the dishes are done. I'm not putting in the dip until the floor is mopped. I'm not doing it. So, I'm aggravated the whole time I'm doing the dishes. Like, I just want my dip and chew, right? Today, it's not like that. I do the dishes. I do the laundry. I clean the house. I fold her clothes. I text my wife every morning and let her know that I love her. Our recovery has changed. It changed our whole lives. I love my wife today. One of the hardest parts I had to do was 6 months clean. I go home and I tell my wife, and I almost start to puke when this happens. I don't know if I want to be with you. I don't know who I'm becoming. This recovery thing is changing me. Everybody's saying, stay away for a year. The relationships don't work. That might be the case. I'm not looking for nobody. First of all, who's going to want me? But I'm not looking for nobody, and I don't want to leave, but I don't know where this is heading. I need to tell you. Now, you know how we think we're addicts. We got 3 million things that can happen here. None of them are good, and I got 3 million coming off of that one. My wife stood up. She gave me a hug. She says, I love you, and I know you love me, and I'll be here till you figure that out. That was not one of the fucking things I thought was going to happen. I started doing the dishes. You know what I mean? I started sweeping the floor, doing the laundry. I started doing everything I could. I still cook. I make the menu. Right? Mr. Mom, I'm going to get a fucking apron, motherfuckers. You know what I mean? Hey, that's right. And guess what? I'm happy to do that today. I took my recovery home. Each time, God wraps it in something different. And it's up to me to take my time, slow it down, and listen to Him. Because my God works through you guys. Thank you for the candlelight meeting, motherfucker. You know what I mean? That was fucking awesome. Now you're a motherfucker. You know what I mean? Hey, thank you for that. Because we have one. Matter of fact, last night they had a potluck dinner starting at 9 o'clock and a speaker meeting at 11 p.m. at night. Hey, over 20 people in attendance at 11 to midnight last night at our candlelight meeting. We've never had less than 16 people there every Friday. They love the candlelight meeting. Out of the darkness. Right? It's freaking awesome. And you know why? Because me and my wife went home and said, hey, we just experienced something just fucking crazy. Them motherfuckers up at Cedar Rapids are doing something fucking out there. You know what I mean? We need that because we felt good. We liked it. We took it home. I pick up something from everybody. And I'm going to pick up something from being here tonight. I didn't know what I was going to say when I got up here. Just like, are you nervous? I'm like, no. Fuck yeah. Hey, I'm going to tell you something that's too much information. I got a hairy ass. That motherfucker been sweating the whole time I've been up here. You know what I mean? Right? You don't want to get too close on the hugs afterwards. Let me tell you that. Right? Hey, but with that, I'm going to bring it to a close. I'm going to let you guys know this. My message was this. My addiction didn't own the good times. That kept me coming back. Somewhere in there, by coming back, I found my higher power. I surrendered to God. And now, that's where I'm at today. That's where I'm at today. I start my morning with it. I end my night with it. And I do it throughout the day. I had to pray over there a little bit of my own prayer. After just, he said, are you nervous? You know what I mean? I had to say one, because fuck yeah, I'm nervous, dude. You know what I mean? Right? I wanted to say something back to him about his clothes, but everybody beat me to it. Right? Hey. God is real, and He works in my life. And I love Him. I love Him. I got a new plug. And if you motherfuckers want to take a hit of the good shit, I could direct you to the dealer's house. With that, I'll pass.